That can take us to the final game of the week, the second of the doubleheader games. It's the Chargers going to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Now, if I told you that it was going to be Justin Herbert versus Kyler Murray and just told you that, I think this would be a much more interesting game or compelling game to me than what the context gives you, which is the Chargers do not really allow Justin Herbert to let loose with the ball in this offense. We're not really seeing him at his peak potential at this point, but they are winning games. And, I'm not saying it's the wrong way to play football. And then obviously on the Arizona side, with Marvin Harrison going down with the concussion, you can't overstate how much of that Cardinals' potential to their offense is based around the connection between Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. So I think with that, the Chargers are a much safer pick here. Jonathan Gannon, I'm not completely sold on him as a head coach. And I think that, a lot of this team is going to be Kyler Murray making magic happen, and he's not going to be able to do it every week, and he's not going to be able to do it against great teams, healthy teams consistently. So give me the Chargers in this case.
And yeah, Pat, I just on that, I think the questions for Arizona really come on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, at this point, they're fifth worst in the league with 27.5 points given up per game, 23rd in defense, 23rd in DVOA, I should say, and then 10 passing touchdowns. Um, I think it's probably going to be a relatively ugly game. And I think there are a lot of questions with Justin Herbert and that finger, and how he's going to be able to come back at this point. But I think J.K. Dobbins has been a very nice bright spot for that offense. I think they do enough to squeak it out. I just have no faith in the Arizona Cardinals to be able to compete with them in terms of being able to move the ball. I mean, we saw Michael Wilson was not really able to step up and fill the role entirely of Marvin Harrison Jr. Trey McBride, I still think needs to become an even more focal point of this offense if they want to continue to move the ball like they were. But I think just that injury alone, it kind of hamstrings them, and I lean Chargers.
So you guys are telling me this is not the game that I should finally purchase ESPN Plus and watch it? I mean, come on. This is the first NFL Monday night game exclusively on ESPN Plus. I mean, this is exciting. I should totally buy ESPN Plus and watch this game over the Bucks and Ravens for sure. But no, I echo your guys' similar sentiment. It's going to be an ugly game. I'm with you. Now, Quentin Johnston, our TCU guy, 3 catches in the first quarter on Sunday, injured his ankle, came back briefly, and then came back out of the game. So interesting to keep an eye on there because I think outside of weapons, it's like Lad McConkey and Josh Palmer, and you're looking pretty decrepit there. Probably the same thing for the Chargers, though. They're going to want to run the football. Gus Edwards is on IR, so you're going to be rolling with J.K. Dobbins, who's, again, been a nice, pleasant surprise. Maybe a shout-out to the rookie Kamani Vidal. Came in and caught a 30-yard touchdown. Kind of showing off he's got a little bit of dual skill set there. You can catch the ball out of the backfield. And this was a guy last year who led college football in missed tackles forced. So something to keep an eye on there is someone who could possibly emerge. But without Marvin Harrison Jr., look, Kyler Murray is going to have to step up. And we talk about franchise quarterbacks being able to elevate the guys around them. Is Kyler Murray one of those guys where he's kind of a bit scheme dependent and he needs all the tools around him to be successful, or is he a true franchise guy like they're paying him to be? Would like to see him have some success. And the Chargers, I think overall the Chargers are just an average football team, just based off talent and how they played so far this year. They have their identity, they have their brand of football that they want to play. And I think if they stick to that, they should probably beat the Cardinals. But again, I think the Cardinals from an upside perspective are a much more talented football team. And maybe, like you mentioned, can they get Trey McBride going? Michael Wilson has been a solid number 2 receiver. I don't think he's a guy that can be a number 1 at any point, but maybe they look to get him going. Greg Dortch out of the slot. He showed flashes at times last year. Maybe look to utilize his speed downfield a little bit. But again, yeah, I'm with you. I lean Chargers, but with a spread of 2.5 on the road, I'm a little bit weary to lay points with the Chargers on the road, quite personally. And I think if Arizona wants to have a semblance of a season this year and kind of take a step up from being the dregs of the league they were last year, this is a game that you need to win as a home underdog. So mostly a pass on this game for me. I will be tuned into the other Monday Night Football game and will not be purchasing ESPN Plus, I think, to tune into this one. But I will keep a close eye on it from Twitter and other sources of entertainment.
I mean, I was also surprised to see kind of just how their offense sputtered once Marvin Harrison Jr. went out. I mean, he's clearly the focal point, and I mean, it's going to be curious to see who Kyler Murray is or isn't going to be able to spread the ball around to. But James Conner, Trey McBride. I mean, those are going to be the guys that are going to have to move the ball down the field for you, and Michael Wilson as well. I think this could be a sneaky big game from him.
Yeah, to that point, Trey McBride, he had a great game last week. He had 96 yards, 8 catches. He gained 5 first downs, had 32 yards after catch. So he played really well. I think he'll continue to play really well. He's been battling some concussions, lingering concussion effects, I feel like, for the last couple of weeks. I think he'll have a ton of success this weekend. I like Arizona with the points. I'm going to take Arizona to actually win this game. The big thing for me, though, to your point, Pat, I do have some questions for Jonathan Gannon in the long run. He is the defensive guy. They had 3 pre-snap penalties on defense in the first quarter versus Green Bay. That's pretty sloppy for a defensive-minded coach. So you do have to keep an eye on that, but I think he's going to have the defense more motivated this week, more honed in on stopping the run this week. And then I think we all know it's kind of our fault last week. I feel like we should have all known Kyler Murray was going to have a down week because Black Ops came out.
True.
That's just poor judgment on our end. But I think he's going to have a good week this week. Khalil Mack has been balling out. He had 5 pressures last week or 5 hurries. Man, he was same old Khalil.
He was really good last year too.
Yeah, he has. He's been great. And then hope Jim Harbaugh is doing okay. He had that little heart issue. But
that's right. He went to the medical tent for a little bit. Is that what it was? It was a heart issue?
It was like a arrhythmia or something like that, or atrial
That's
flutter.
a heart issue.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want your heart to be fluttering.
In Denver, too. He
said
like
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, like 200 beats a minute. That's what.
He's pretty amped up most of the time. That doesn't really surprise me. He came out of the medical tent and was like, "Who's got it better than us? Nobody."